back to Kansas City Real Talk, brought to you by KCRER. I'm Bobbi Howe.
And I'm Alex Gary. Bobbi, what's going on?
Well, I have to know, how did the very hungry caterpillar costume work out?
Okay, so this is the thing about me. Okay, so I have ideas sometimes, and sometimes those ideas are like what somebody else should do. So like I thought of that. I thought of the very hungry caterpillar idea, but I should have realized in that moment that I would never be the person to do that. And I never got it done. And so it was Elsa, Olaf, and Anna. Um, two of
Oh,
two of those costumes were recycled from previous years. It was fine, and there was no very hungry caterpillar. And so next time, I think what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna sell the idea. Like I'm gonna start like a maybe I'm gonna start like an Etsy page, but I'm not gonna sell
mm.
anything tangible. It'll just be an idea. What do you think? Is that a good business idea?
Is this like those NFTs that they were selling for a while that's not
Yeah.
actually a real thing, but
Well,
people are
well,
purchasing it
and
anyways?
and that's what I'll do. I'll sell the right to use the idea by using an NFT, and it'll be perfectly fine because it'll be recorded on the blockchain, and if anybody else uses the idea,
Right.
I'll know that it's. I don't think this works.
Has
I
your,
see
speaking now,
holes in
now that
this
we've gone down
plan.
this rabbit hole that we weren't expecting, at least I was not expecting this rabbit hole at all. Are you seeing a rash of your Facebook friends post get taken over by them becoming crypto experts at all? Like
Yeah,
there someone has taken over and hacked their accounts and they're posting these things, but it's just I have a lot of crypto experts in my wall right now.
I have noticed that I've started removing those because I just assumed that they're hacked. Um,
Right.
but it has been weird because it hasn't been anybody that I'm particularly close to.
Yeah.
And so it's not a situation where like I've seen it and I would call them up and be like, basically, I don't care about any of these people enough to call them and say, hey, were
You've been
you
hacked.
possibly hacked by a crypto freak? Um, so I don't ask those questions. I
Fair,
just call it
fair.
good and I observe and then I think to myself, man, I hope somebody cares enough about me to reach
Yeah.
out if my page has been hijacked by a
But
crypto
that they
freak.
actually care about you. They're not just that loose acquaintance that's just going to let it happen but not let you know.
Yeah, that's what I hope
That's,
is
yeah,
that
that's
as
your
that
hope. Mhm.
somebody out there, perhaps you, Bobby, would
I
reach
would.
out and say, Alex, your your page is weird. Do you sell crap coins on your profile
Fair.
page now through Facebook? So there you
Fair.
go. Yeah.
Um, the other thing that I've been noticing a lot of is the hackers taking over, and there is usually a family member that has had to go into assisted living, and now they're selling off all of their possessions. There's always an RV, there's always a
Yeah.
sports car, a truck, and all these wide variety of things, and they're selling all of them off for their family member. And I'm just like, do people actually fall for these scams?
Yeah.
Obviously, but
Yeah. Yeah,
really?
they do. They do. Oh,
Oh,
I I I know that they do, and
yeah.
it's actually really sad. And I think I made a comment about it in regard to the like the political text that we all got
Oh.
during campaign season.
I love
Um,
you said during campaign season as if it were over, which it will be by
right,
the time this came
it will
out,
be
but
when
right
this comes
now,
out, but it's not right now, and we're still receiving texts, and we still might be weeks from now when this is released. But what trying to remember where I was going with this.
oh,
Oh,
sorry.
there are people that do fall for these things, and I do think that it's totally possible that some of these texts that we're getting that are political, that seem political in nature, they could be totally fake. They could
Yeah.
be totally fake. Nobody would know any different, and
Yep.
somebody that's receiving it is going to give money. And I think people are very susceptible to that. And I think we think about elderly people being susceptible
Hmm.
to it. It isn't just elderly people,
Oh,
I've found. So, yep.
it's just,
I
yeah.
actually have had people in my office make sure that I didn't actually want them to buy business cards. Or sorry, didn't want them to buy gift cards, I
The
mean.
gift cards. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I remember when that was going on, even like 7 years ago when I was still at the other office. Like, if people would be like, Bobby, I got that thing. You needed those gift
Yeah.
cards. And I was like, yo, guys, I'm never going to ask you for a gift card. Literally ever.
Yep.
Nope, not. I'm never going to be in a meeting and need a gift card at that exact moment. And I can't get there. I 100% promise you. And I won't be texting you from a number you've never heard of either. That's the other part that gets me. Oh, this is just my other number. What, this is my drug phone? I ain't got a drug phone. Sorry. I mean, I had a pager, and we were talking about that the other day. I was somewhere, we were talking about, how it was so nice when you were in high school. Like, there, people, they only had house phones with answering machines. Like, people could not get a hold of you 24/7. Like, you got messages when you got home. And I said, no, no, no. When I was a junior and senior in high school, I had a pager, so my mom could page me and tell me to call in because we needed to do a contract or we needed to go put out a sign right after school. And so, like, I've been, I have been findable for quite some time.
So findable. There you
Yeah,
go.
findable. So we made reference to the election.
Yeah.
We are recording this the day before the election, but
Yeah.
both of us have now done absentee voting. That was my first time doing absentee voting. Have you voted absentee before?
Well, I just early voted.
Well,
I
early
didn't do,
voted, same thing.
yeah.
To
That's,
me, it's the same thing.
yeah.
Have
I
you done
think
it
it's,
before?
yes, I usually
Okay.
vote early. Yeah.
Okay. This was my
Yeah.
first time ever doing it, and it's such a lovely process that
It's
I
great.
may continue doing it in the future because it was so easy to
Oh,
do.
yeah.
But it's weird now having voted and the election hasn't happened yet. Like, that's the part in my brain because I voted last week. And so knowing there's a whole week until the actual election, and I'm just like, is this strange for me?
Yeah, I mean, I had to do it today, and I think it was the last, obviously, it's the day before the election, so last day of early voting, and it closed at noon. So I got over there at 11:15, and I was out of there by 11:25. There were the people that were volunteering at Hilltop, there at 143rd, right, just east of 69 Highway. Those volunteers were extremely efficient,
But
super pleasant. They moved a lot of people through so quickly. I didn't have to stand in line. I just kept on walking. It was so easy and seamless. So and I've done early voting just about. I can't remember the last time. I mean, I can't think of what the last time would have been that I voted actually on election day. Early voting's fabulous.
well, it's now that I've seen behind the curtain, I'm like, ooh, I like this, and I
Oh
think I
yeah.
want to do it again. So,
Yeah, it's you
um,
don't have to deal with any. There's also no drama. You
yeah,
just walk in and out, and
easy.
you're done. Yep.
Yeah, and there was no one there trying to hand me the leaflets before this the
Nope.
the thing that says no campaigning beyond this
Yep.
point, and whatever
There's
that
nothing.
awkwardness usually is. Yes, it was
Nothing.
it was quite lovely.
Do we have a book bit?
We do.
All right. Do 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 do. Bobby's book bit.
Casey, rare. And I have to show you my little kitty cat, my little pew pew. Um,
Aww.
so Ray Gun, the
For
t-shirt company,
Alex.
I was in Cedar Falls, Iowa last week, and they had a Ray Gun store, and so I went inside, and so I bought myself. I haven't put it out yet. This is my emotional support water bottle, and then the little Ray Gun pew pew kitty cat. So
Oh,
Casey,
so hold on. Why did I think that that little kitty cat was holding? I thought he was holding a violin.
no, he's not. He's holding a machine gun.
Oh. I thought I thought this was something about Alex like qualifying. You should tell the people. You
The
should tell
people.
the people about Alex and what
So
he's
my super awesome sixth grader, who is still an elementary student, had the amazing opportunity this last weekend to audition for the Kansas City All District Youth Symphony, which is middle schoolers and high schoolers. And he was one of 85 positions that made it out of 400 kids that tried. So we
so
are
cool.
super proud of him. He's also made the St. Joe Youth Symphony, which that level of talent was way different than the Kansas City level. Like that was, yeah, it was really, really good students there, and he made it. So we're super proud and super
That is
excited. And his
so
teacher even
awesome.
said we don't let seventh graders audition. So the fact that he's a sixth grader and we're having him audition was a huge honor. So and he made it. So
It's so awesome. I'm sure that he will appreciate that it was a cat holding a machine gun
he likes ray gun, so it's
that
okay.
made me okay. All right. All right, there you go.
We totally scrolled away from that book bit, but our book bit is Raise Your Game by Alan Stein Jr., and it delves into the philosophy of peak performance. Alan is a former basketball coach, and he achieved success by focusing on self-awareness, discipline, and a series of virtues, and that's what he goes into this book on Raise Your Game. And there's a lot of principles that are actually in my mental health keynote that are actually these top 3 principles that I found in the book, and I think that's why I connected to the book so much. But I love the quote because I talk about this all the time. The most successful people in any industry thrive in discomfort. Why? Because temporary discomfort leads to permanent improvement. And I always tell people you've got to get comfortable being uncomfortable. Growth, happens outside your comfort zone, and we need to do more of that. So the 3 lessons from the book is lesson 1. A person that is highly self-aware and is willing to work hard consistently becomes unstoppable. The author talks about knowing yourself as the single most important first step in your journey towards success. To be self-aware, you have to do a thorough introspection and answer the essential aspects of your life. Questions like, what's your biggest strengths? What are you good at? What's your purpose and your true desires on this earth are all excellent starting points. It's my goal setting class. The first thing I do is we figure out what's your why. Without consistency in your actions, your effort will be in vain. Lesson number 2 from the book. If you want to live a happy life, stop comparing yourself to someone else. One of my mental health keynotes is don't judge your insides by someone else's outsides, because comparison is the mother of doubt and it makes us feel absolutely miserable. No matter who you are, you'll always find someone prettier, smarter, more muscular, I can't talk today, younger and richer than you. However, comparing your situation to someone else's will only slow down your goals with no added benefit whatsoever. Self-doubt is a toxic trait of humans, and it holds us back from achieving our highest potential because even if we compare, it'll never help us become the subject of our envy. Lesson 3. Taking the first step towards your goal can feel overwhelming if you don't start gradually. Let's say you've done the introspection and you're working on becoming more self-aware. Knowing where you stand from every point of view is generally a wise approach to life, yet sometimes it can put us down and kill our morale. Realizing how much work needs to be done and that your goals are far away from the future is not fun. However, it all starts with acknowledging that everyone starts somewhere and that your situation is simply just your starting point. Start small and focus on gradual steps, and then adopt the psychology of small incremental steps by telling yourself that there's just a bit to do, but that you have to repeat it multiple times. And that's my book bit, Raising Your Game by Alan Stein Jr.
Nice. Hey,
Boom.
you know what we forgot to do?
Talk about who our guest is.
Who's our guest?
I'm so excited for our guest, and I don't know how we've never had this guest on in the past. This is a secondary member to our board even, which makes it even more exciting, is Mike McGrew, who's not only a local realtor out of Lawrence, Kansas, but he's also the current president of the NAR Realtor Relief Foundation. And he's going to talk to us exactly what this foundation does and how realtors can help, which with the tornadoes we just had in Oklahoma City yesterday and continue today, RRF is more important now than ever. So let's go get Mike.
Awesome.
For those who do not know you, which there's apparently people in this world of realtors who do not know who you are, which is just really, really strange in my world. But tell us a little bit about your background. How did you get in real estate? Why have you stayed all of these years? And then getting involved with the National Association, and then obviously leading to being in charge of RRF. Just give us your journey.
Well, thank you, Miss Bobbi. It has been a long journey, actually 42 years and counting. I started out as a guy who absolutely did not want to be in real estate. There wasn't any question. Didn't want to do it. too many vacations were ruined, too many dinners dad missed, too many ball games he said he was coming and couldn't. And I'm like, this is no way to run a thing here. I don't like this at all. So went to KU because I didn't know what else to do as a computer science guy. Now, you have to remember, this is in 1978, Bobby, well before you were born.
I was born in
And
78. Woo!
And computer science was shoeboxes full of Hollerith 80 column cards. And yeah, Alex doesn't even know what that is. And
No, I don't.
it was way too tedious for me. While I was very interested in it, I could not. It was just too tedious. And so I kind of wandered about the University of Kansas landscape for a while, and then had my dad wisely, I think, say, why don't you go get your real estate license? You don't know what you want to do anyway. And his father had passed away when my dad was only 14, and so he kind of thought he might repeat that. So if he was going to die quick, he wanted me to at least know something about the business. I said, okay. So being a dutiful son, I took one summer and got my real estate license. And then he goes, well, why don't you come to sales meeting? Who knows? You might accidentally sell something. And so I'm still at KU, still trying to figure out what I want to be. I think at that point I was probably pursuing my business degree, and ended up selling a townhome to a ex-girlfriend who I was driving her around in my car with her then boyfriend, and she bought a little townhome. And it had $1,000 selling bonus on it. This is a long time ago. $1,000 selling bonus on it, and I thought I'd died and gone to heaven. And that was the beginning for me. That was 1982, and since then, I was fortunate enough to get involved with the association, local, state, and national. And like a lot of folks, I didn't know the difference between the association and the real estate commission in the beginning. I had no idea. But I was really, really lucky to have some really good folks at KAR, Pat Tholen being kind of my early mentor. She and John Green. Rob Curtis was followed me and cleaned up my mess when I was president in 1998. And then was fortunate enough to be regional vice president, Region 9 vice president in 2003. Kind of got a little taste of NAR at that point, and somewhere along the road decided to run for treasurer, and failed the first time that I ran for NAR treasurer. Followed my now good friend Bill Armstrong and was elected twice to that position. And then after that, we decided to take one big swing at being president, and then COVID came, and it kind of changed the landscape a little bit for us, and we made a good fight out of it. It was a really close race, and I wouldn't change it, even if I knew I was going to lose again. I would not try, but didn't win, and kind of was wondering what my next chapter was going to be. And my good friend Mike Ford said, you need to get on Realtor Relief Foundation. And so I did. And next thing I know, they were asking me to be the president, which is now my second year, and that will conclude at the end of this year. But the Realtors Relief Foundation has been truly the most rewarding part of the Realtor family experience that I've had. It's just been amazing.
I didn't realize our early journey, how very, very similar they were. But I was also one of those people who, I'm never going to be in real estate. And here we are 30, 40 years later. But yes, I was also licensed I got licensed on my 18th birthday. I was still in high school, but I started working directly in college. But, I just enjoyed watching your journey, everything, that you've done, because, from being here in the Midwest, you're right up there with the Mendenhall family as far as being such a great inspiration for everything that can happen at local, state, and national realtors. Tell for our listeners who somehow have been living under a rock, explain everything that the Realtor Relief Foundation does, because NAR's version does work differently than like the Missouri Realtor Relief Foundation in regards to just the way some of the rules work. And then what do you as the president do? Just sit around and like, clean your cufflinks every day or make yourself look pretty? What are you doing, sir?
I'm surprised you even know what cufflinks are.
I am fancy, sir.
She's wearing a Kansas City Chiefs t-shirt right now, folks. I want you to know how fancy she really is.
Yeah.
You mentioned Richard Mendenhall, and Richard Mendenhall and Martin Edwards and Pat Kaplan were instrumental in the original idea that became the Realtors Relief Foundation, and it was all in response to 9/11, the terrorist attacks, and like all of us, we were wondering how we could help. What can we do? And Richard and Martin and Pat came up with the idea that we should raise money and support the families of the folks that had been taken from us during the terrorist attacks. And so that's what they did. They built it. They put out the call for. It was very much a reactionary thing. The foundation did not exist before that. They put out the call for donations, and in a short period of time, granted $8 million to families that were victims of that disaster.
Wow.
And then, so that was kind of the proof of concept, I guess, that there really was a way to harness the realtor spirit in a national way, philanthropically. And so the foundation kind of got a board of directors, kind of formalized itself, but was still very much a reactionary. When disaster happens, we would go raise money, and that was really the case up until the 20th anniversary of the foundation in 2021. And Mike Ford was the president at that time, or was instrumental anyway in that, and they put a very nice push on nationally to get everybody to know a little more about the foundation and to really contribute in a meaningful way on the 20th anniversary. And so we raised a lot of funds because up until then, every year we raise $1.5 million because there was a disaster that cost $1.5 million. And so we kind of just were treading water. And then with the funds that were raised in 2021, we were able to put some aside and actually become proactive, which we've now taken a few more steps along that way. We didn't have full-time staff until 2 years ago. We just had the volunteers, and which there are many now, and some NAR folks that kind of were moonlighting as our folks. So to be president of the Realtors Relief Foundation is it's certainly a not just a figurehead position. I've actually been to Omaha and seen the tornado disaster damage up there. Actually, just accidentally lived through Helene and Milton down in Sarasota, as we were talking about before, and have traveled around the country speaking on behalf of the Realtors Relief Foundation and highlighting the really cool way that the foundation can harness dollars from all across the country. And by the way, we're only United States. We're in the United States and our territories. We do not go overseas. It is all about the United States and the realtor family that is NAR in the United States. And we've found a way to harness that energy and dollars, and then fund it at a local level where realtors like yourselves actually get to help people in your community and hand them money at a time when they desperately need it. And I certainly have seen that firsthand where, the insurance company may have come or maybe hasn't and seen the house that used to be there, or they aren't going to be there for another week. And in the meantime, you still got a mortgage to pay. You still got groceries to buy. And maybe FEMA's going to get around to you sooner or later. And the Red Cross certainly does as much as they possibly can, but putting checks in people's hands quickly after a disaster is really powerful, and it's a cool way to highlight what the realtor heart is like. And it's been my honor to be a part of it.
Well, Mike, even before these last two hurricanes this year, you had some personal experience with it when the tornadoes came through Lawrence, and I think that Realtor Relief Foundation and was there also a local organization that there were like over 40 families that were assisted in some way in Lawrence, Kansas. Was that in what year was that?
Yeah, that I think that was 6 years ago now.
Okay.
That and in fact we've had one a little quicker than that out in Westmoreland, out by Manhattan.
Mm.
That little town just really got beat by a tornado out there. It is true that there are a lot of local associations, local boards that want to help. A lot of them don't have 501c3s, and so if they don't have a 501c3, the Realtors Relief Foundation can function as that for them. If they have one, then we can fund them, and they can do it themselves. It really is very flexible. But to Bobby's question earlier, uh, not every, but lots of states and locals have foundations of one kind or another that support various wonderful community things, either low-income housing, or, children, or whatever, realtor education. There's just a lot of them. The Realtors Relief Foundation supports um, folks who have had their primary residence damaged and they've been displaced, and it helps them with their housing costs. Now, if they don't spend the money on housing, that's fine, but that's the way we look at it. And it's not just for realtors. It's from realtors, but it's not for realtors only. It's for the public. It's for everybody who's impacted.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things that I love the most about it. So I'm not a recipient of RRF foundation money, but I am a recipient of Missouri RRF because of the hail damage that I had to my house. And you talked about the impact that it makes on someone being able to cut a check so fast. I spent over 6 months trying to deal with my insurance on my own roof. And it just came up. Somebody said, well, why haven't you applied for Missouri RRF? And I was like, I'm an officer Mother Nature doesn't discriminate against officers and, those who are not. But within 48 hours, I'm about to cry. I had a check in my hand.
Yep.
It made a huge difference to me and my family to have that, especially after fighting with insurance for 6 months straight to have that. So it's not straight up NAR RRF. It is, I do know how those families feel when they receive that money, and just knowing someone out there cares and wants to get them moved on with their life. So thank you for what RRF does, because it truly does affect our people, whether they're realtors or just our community. It truly does affect them. And I have a feeling it probably affects the community even more than our own people.
Yeah, that's well said. I've heard so many stories like yours, and it is a perfect example of everything that's good about the realtor family in this environment where all we see is everything that's bad about the realtor family. It's just been bad news and stuff like it for the last year or two. It just seems like a continuous drumbeat. And here's this amazing thing that we do, and we don't get commissions for it. Our own members don't even know we do it. And yet it is, I tell folks when I talk about it that it's the best news that nobody knows. And we need to do a better job of telling the story. And I really appreciate you guys doing your part here with this podcast. It is important for us to let our members know what we do. And hopefully, if we raise the awareness a little bit with our own membership, we'll do a lot better job of raising money from our individual members. The big boards and the big states are certainly our largest source of funding, but we know that over the long haul, if the members believe in it and the members are willing to go into their own pocket for it, we'll be sustainable and we'll be able to meet the needs in the future.
Mike, how can a realtor get involved in the Realtor Relief Foundation? Is it strictly monetary? Obviously, there's a leadership structure. What are the ways that a realtor can help contribute to this cause?
Yeah, that's a great question. So if you go back 3 or 4 years, we were knocking on people's doors trying to get them to be involved. And over the last couple of years, we've had a lot of folks come to us and say, hey, we want to help. What can we do? How can we help tell the story? How can we help raise money? And our campaign fundraising team has grown from I mean, I think we were forcing the RVPs to do it, and maybe had one other person in each state. So maybe we had 50 or 60 total. This year we were well over 120 folks, and they've all opted in. We didn't have to go get them. So if you are interested in being a part of the Realtors Relief Foundation in the future, and by the way, the 25th anniversary is coming up in 2026. There will be a lot of opportunities for folks to get involved, and certainly they can get in touch with me, and I can connect them to the right folks. But to your other question, yeah, there's a board of directors structure. In fact, the next 2 years president is going to be Greg Robchek, our current NAR treasurer. It's not a requirement that you, kind of just coincidental that that's what I was, but he's.
We trust you with the money though, so there's
Yeah,
that.
well, yeah, we kind of know about that stuff, but he is so passionate about it. He's handed out checks to people in Ohio, and he's all in, and it's terrific, and that's what we need going forward. So maybe there's not room for everybody to be on the board. The board is rather small, but there's a lot of room for people on the campaign team, and every state, every region has a different way of going about it. And like I said, as we start getting closer and closer to the 25th anniversary, there will be a lot of opportunities for people to help.
So, Mike, I know that we had recent incidences, now I'm just making up words, it's fine, whatever. And it's fine, whatever. Western North Carolina, Florida, Georgia, all of those. And one of the things that's been eye-opening to me has been in my conversations with Maura Neal and evaluating some of these applications. We've had 2 instances so far where someone stole someone else's photos off of Facebook and claimed it was their property, and they made an application. And then someone else used bank stubs from or mortgage statements from 2019 for a property they sold recently. But so for those that think there could be fraud out there, explain a little bit about the details that you guys go into to verify that these are actual legitimate. And to be clear, these were both realtors, and we're working on disciplining them. But the verification process is not money just randomly going out to dirtbags that like to make up things.
Well, that's a really good point. And again, it depends a little bit on whether NAR is being the 501c3 that's reviewing the applications, or whether it's being done at a local or state level. But having said that, we're keenly aware of how creative fraudsters can be. And in fact, Texas had an automated system, and noticed, as they were working on a wildfire event earlier this year, noticed that there was something strange about it, and they shut the system down because someone had figured out how to come up with valid driver's license numbers, and were inputting them into the system and trying to get grant requests. But they were doing it with something that tipped them off. I can't even tell you what it was. But the 100% of the dollars that are contributed are available for victims relief. And at the same time, as having said that, our commitment is to make sure that 100% of those dollars go to victims that actually deserve it. And so we have a very robust system at NAR for credit card theft and all those things. To the extent that it runs through the NAR system, I feel very, very comfortable about it. I also know that when it comes to local boards, sometimes the best defense is going to be the fact that Maura knows these people, or Bobbi knows these people, and you're not that person, and I'm not giving you that money. We have had, so interestingly enough, the flip side of that is we don't want it to be such a burdensome paperwork, because I will tell you, and you know this, Bobbi, from chasing the insurance company on your own, it is exhausting. You're just trying to imagine all the folks down in Sarasota that are not living at home. Their kids are not in the right school. They're living on somebody's couch. They're going back every day trying to get their possessions out of their flooded home. And now we're asking them to fill out, 10 pages of paperwork. So we don't do that. But we do require some things that are necessary to validate that they really are who they say they are, and that the property really was or is where they say it is. And we've had a couple of occasions where I believe it was in West Virginia or Kentucky, the amount of money that the folks were going to get was so small, we just gave it to them. It was $100. Their rent for their mobile home was $80 or $100. And they're like, I can't find my driver's license. I can't find here. Just take this, so we have on occasion probably bent the rules pretty far, but that's really rare. And we've caught a lot of fraud that tried to happen. To my knowledge, there's no such thing as 100% proof, fraud-proof system, but this one is pretty well monitored. So
I just love seeing the effort that was gone to double check and verify these things. Like, yeah, you submitted a mortgage statement. Oh, wait, that's from 2019. And the reason we caught the other one was they were a friend of ours. They were her photos that she'd posted on Facebook. And I was like, those are Kate's photos. Those are not yours, sir, sort of thing. But it takes a village for us all to help each other.
Yep. I kind of look at it like NAR, the NAR Realtors Relief Foundation is the gas, and we put that in the tank, and then the local folks are the ones that drive the car around and hand out the checks with the gas in the tank. And so it does take everybody being vigilant.
Well, Mike, let's say that I have a real issue and I'm not trying to commit any kind of fraud. How do I?
Let's just say that, Alex.
I said, because that's what we were just talking about. But how do I reach out to request help from the Realtor Relief Foundation?
So what triggers our ability to be able to help is a declaration of disaster, either from the president or from the governor, or it can be a more local event. It can be a county event, county administrator, someone with authority that can designate that we've had an emergency or a disaster. Once that is official, now you can start the process with us. And it's not done on a person by person basis. It's the local board or the state association that will work with NAR to say, here's the number of homes that were impacted. Here's the average value of the homes in that area. We know we won't get everybody, maybe we'll get half of them. We go through a whole process of kind of estimating what the total grant request ought to be. And then that grant request is presented to our RRF board of directors. Assuming we approve it, then that money is now available for victims of that disaster in that area. And they would be applying typically through the local association. Arkansas has really written the book on how to do this the right way. And we've tried to take some of their experiences and put them on white papers and put them on our RRF website. But there are folks that want to help at NAR. And so when there is a disaster, like this morning, there was tornadoes back in Oklahoma. I checked in with Brian Hutchison, the CEO down there, to see if this was something that he was going to need help on. And you'll typically find that happening. Those of us that are part of the RRF hear about these headlines, and we reach out to the state or local folks that we know and say, hey, is this something that we can help you get started? And we do that a lot.
Well, Mike, thanks for taking the time to be with us today. I know we'll put the link in the show notes to make a contribution to the Realtors Relief Foundation, but I know that there's a really easy way that you can tell people right now. I just am embarrassed. I don't remember the phone number we're supposed to text. I feel like it's like 33993.
71774.
What is it?
No,
what is
7
it?
something.
Oh, don't confuse anybody. So you text Team RRF to 71777.
Oh,
Okay.
I had the last number wrong.
You were closer than me though,
So
Bobbi.
close.
So 71777. No,
777, like the jackpot. 71777.
there you go.
There
Yeah.
we go. All right, there
And
we
you
go.
text Team RRF to 71777, and it will give you the opportunity to make a reoccurring gift or a one-time gift, any amount you want. And it's been interesting. Our PAC, for example, is one of those things that we've all drank the Kool-Aid on a long time ago. I know all three of us have. And but it took a long time before that became part of the fabric of the Realtor family. And now, what do we see? 40 or 50% of our membership on an annual basis contributes. The number of folks that contribute, so that would be 750,000 members that would have contributed to RPAC in any given year. This year, we will have the most individuals that we've ever had contribute to RRF, and it's going to be about 5,000. 5,000. So
Wow.
the opportunity for us to touch a few more people through your podcast and every other way that we're trying to do it is really, really important. And our members deserve the opportunity to help, and also deserve to know the good work that the RRF and the state and local associations are all doing together in their communities. So
100%. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Mike. And we will all see you together in Boston, when we will even let Alex at Region 9 Caucus be the one to announce the RRF, so you can make a donation. Alex will get the special opportunity to do that.
Well,
There we go.
To get the number right.
we'll get him a tattoo, and then he won't miss it. I like it.
There we go. I love it.